right, good morning. We're here today with Luke Smith of Howling Bluff Estate Winery. I'm Ashley Comerick from Comerick Communications, where we help wineries go beyond the wine to create engaged and loyal raving fans from every visitor that comes into their winery tasting room. Luke, thank you very much for joining me today. I know it's an incredibly intense time for you at the winery and with all that's going on with COVID. And that's why I wanted to talk to you to hear how you've adapted, what COVID has meant for your business, but how have you adapted now that you've been able to open back up again?
Well, one of the things we were all recommended to do was control access to the property. And that's regardless of wine. I think restaurants are doing it. Everybody has to do it. So then it became contact tracing. So who shows up, none of which have to do with the experience of tasting wine. So the reality is we are using a software company that offers their services similar to OpenTable. And so we instituted reservations only. And it's amazing the change in the attitude of the customer. So what we started doing, which is, it's going to be a painful year no matter what, and I figured might as well do the most pain. So we're not allowing drop-ins anymore. And our last year, as an example, during July, August, you couldn't get into our parking lot. There were people lined up. People were leaving. It was so busy. We had the entire bell curve of experiences coming from stags and stagettes to big buyers. And by instituting the reserve system, and we instituted a fee, and it's non-refundable. It's time to play with the big boys. I think our reputation is such that. So we got these 14-year-olds back somewhere in some country to turn the reservation system on, put it on our website using a widget, have no idea. And the bookings have been flying in. And we are a little short-staffed, so it's me and a couple other people. And when people, we're booking on the every half hour and only up to 2 groups at a time. So it's really shut down the volume of people coming. And so it's very easy to see if someone comes in the off hour or the quarter or any other time that they're not making a reservation. We've got this little window. It tells us what's going on. And so we have just, unfortunately, been going out telling people, I'm very sorry. If you got a reservation, no, we don't. I'm sorry if you want to go online and book something, but we can't let you in. The response from the public has been both ends of the yin-yang scale to utter incredulity. I'm someone special. How dare you not let me in? To, hey, that's really cool. I like that. I'll go book. And it's these people that we want coming on site, the people that are willing to pay for the experience. So now we control the experience. We don't have as many noisy folk around. And I have more time to talk to people. And I'm loving it. It's great. I see this as the way we're going to continue on into the future. I know when Dave and Cynthia at Laughingstock did it, they're just across the street. Well, they used to be across the street. It's now something else. People were a little bit upset. Little Engine down the road started doing it because there was this perception that in the wine industry, we should give our time and product away for free in the hopes that I will entice you to spend some of your money. And of course, California has changed it, and France has been different for years. You don't get to do that. I've been working for 16 years to build my reputation. Our Pinot is considered the best in the country, up there with others. Our experience is beautiful. We spent a lot of money on what you see when you get here. Why should I give it away for free? And those are not the customers I want in any event. So this unfortunate 2020 pandemic has kicked us into where we should be. So there's the silver lining.
No kidding. Yeah. They say that there's always a teaching or something good that you can see from a situation that may appear tragic and very negative. But that's a really interesting evolution in both your clientele and your process. Now, with the reservation system, do you get information also from the people that are booking that helps you tailor their experience once they're with you?
The system records everything but their DNA. It is insane. Um, and I'm going to talk as a layman because I got people in the background doing this for me. The reservation system records and won't let you book without giving address, phone number, email, credit card, time, when, what, who, and how. It then locks into our point of sale system and immediately puts them into our point of sale system. Then after their very first experience, whatever they purchase goes into our database. So they bought a lot of Pinot Noir. I have all their contact information. I know how long they stayed here and I know what they bought.
Amazing.
So in the beginning, we have no information. 45 minutes later, I have what they purchased, plus the notes that I could put in. Wonderful people, said their dad loves white wine, said their mom loves fish, all those kinds of things. Now, this is dragging Howling Bluff from a paper-based family winery into the modern age of contact tracing, contact memories, and all of these things. And I have a wonderful friend in Ottawa, who I can't say what he does for a living, but he is the most incredible tech data mining nerd anywhere, who has now integrated all of these systems into it. So we're recording birth dates. We're recording when you joined our wine club. We're recording everything you ever purchased. And then sending you an email once in a while going, hey, you know, it's been a year. Thanks for joining the wine club. Here's a special offer tailored to you, all those kinds of things. So this is, I mean, and what I'm saying is probably, it's about time, Luke, from some of the bigger wineries around here who've been doing it forever.
Well, and I don't know how many of them have been doing that forever, though, because from my research, it seems like that's, well, having a reservation system, having it connected to your point of sale system also is not completely diffused everywhere. And I think that the way that you go beyond the wine, beyond the experience, to integrate with those notes is fundamental in providing that really tailored experience. You know, if I get an email from a winery saying, hey, you know, it's your birthday, or I mean, I think that's I'm touched.
We're even doing something else. Alex is tracking temperatures at time of sale and correlating to what wines sell in the wine shop during the temperature of the summer in the Okanagan.
Amazing.
And creating a bit of an algorithm to figure out what's going on. And we're also moving towards, I sound so technical, we're going to start emailing recipes that are paired to the wines that we're actually doing. We're cooking the recipes, we're doing that. Ultimately, we'll do little YouTube videos of the actual thing, and then send that all out, which is marketing 101, but it's a passion. That's how I grew up. There was never a bottle of wine on the table that hadn't been planned to go with the meal, and there never was a meal that wasn't planned to go with the wine, and that's what we teach in the wine shop as part of the experience. So all of this stuff is becoming, through the technology and through the back end and through Alex and other people, easy for me to do, because I mean, when you think the complexity of trying to put all this together. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Oh, thank goodness for those friends who get that and can do that easily.
Well, I pay them in wine.
Everyone wins. Everyone wins. Yeah. Luke, tell me a little bit more about that family tradition, that upbringing that you had, that wine played such a big role in.
Well, I assumed everybody was the same. So, you know, forgive me when we look back on it, realize everybody wasn't. So the first thing I remember is that my mom and dad entertained quite a bit. And as a, you know, under 10, under 13-year-old, yeah, whatever, didn't care. As soon as I hit 13, 14, as all boys do, I became an eating machine that would simply eat everything and would go into another universe because I could keep eating forever. And so I would look forward to these meals because at the end of it, there was always leftovers and I would just chow down on it. And two things sort of strike me really interesting, and I won't name, but my dad on Saturdays used to drive to what is still one of the most famous restaurants in Vancouver and go to the back lane and knock a little pattern on the door, and the trunk would open and there'd be some exchange of stuff, and off Dad would go. And we would end up eating, and I thought everybody did this, some of the most amazing steaks in the entire world. And as I started paying attention to that, of course, being a meat eater, my mother finally at the end of these dinners, she was the original founding member of the International Vancouver chapter, the International Wine and Food Society. So the people that were attending these dinners, who over the 20 years, I think Mom was the secretary, you can imagine, I don't need to drop names, but I didn't know any different. These are just people that came over. And finally, Mom just sort of said, listen, if you're going to chow through with the leftovers, everybody's gone. Let's start talking about why we're doing this, and what we're doing, and the wine, and the passion. And so it started there, culminating with, and I think everybody who listens to this, every single person is going to recognize, around 17, 18, 19, every boy anywhere knows everything. Everything. You laugh, but it's true.
No, I'm laughing because you said every boy, because the girls, when they're 13, that's when they know everything.
Oh, but they're a little more sophisticated about expanding that knowledge. So I sat down and said, now I've had this education. Thanks, Mom. I don't need to learn anything else about wine. And Daniel Smith. And that's when, just one sec here. Just a sec here. So she kind of explained the philosophy that I've carried with me for the rest of my life, which is almost everything that is not scientific based is subjective. The experience of wine is subjective. The best bottle of wine I've ever had, I can't name, but it was on the first date with my wife. I don't know if it was Radzina, Tubac Chuck, Baby Duck, or Petrus. It doesn't matter. It's my memory of that. And therefore, it is the greatest bottle of wine I've ever had. So I try and instill upon everybody, based on that experience with my mother, is that you don't like my wine. You're right. I don't take it personally. You like my wine. You're right. I don't take it personally. And that, I think, has given me this really open-ended ability to talk wine with people, because I don't have an agenda. I don't need to prove to you that I'm a great taster of wine, because I'm no better than you are. I'm no better than that 22-year-old. I just have maybe a little more experience and some interesting stories to tell them. So that's where that started with my mom. At around 19, I already had a cellar of about 1,000 bottles. Yeah, well, and another kind of interesting thing is when I graduated university and I got my first job in the market, my first partner and I were both into wine. It's possibly why the firm put us together. And Craig and I would sit there and talk wine and food all day long while we were trading. And we had, this is how old I am, we had the very first dot matrix printer in the office. And with that, we had the very first charting software. So we charged 25 cents a chart to the rest of the office. So they wanted a chart on GM or these stocks because people look at the technical things. And we had a little porcelain Buddha from Trader Vic's in the Bayshore in Vancouver. Remember those flowery drinks? So we had this Buddha glass, so you got to take home after $11 drink or whatever it is. And we would put the quarters in it. And once a week, we would take all that money out and go to the BC liquor store and buy the most expensive bottle of wine we could, which in those days, we could get some awesome wine with 30 bucks. And we were drinking, nowadays I think back like, oh my God, I mean, I had a wine at Clos de Tart, 1970 or something, that we bought. I mean, you can't even purchase that wine any longer. Oh. And so we were drinking all those things. So that sort of informed from, 15 to 20 with my mom, from, 20 to 30 with Craig, just trying all these things. And that's sort of where it came from. That's, There's the beginning.
Amazing, amazing. And what's it like for you in the tasting room when guests come in? I mean, do you find that are you educating a lot of people? Are you trying to put them at ease? Are they already well aware of the realities of the wine world? What do you find?
Well, you got to remember 99.999% of people that come into a wine shop are in a good mood to begin with. There's always the one looking for, there are individuals that are the squeaky wheel that want to express their knowledge of wine with you. And of that little subset, 50% are annoying and the other 50% are just passionate. So I can deal with that. So most people come in and it becomes a teaching moment in the sense that you're in my wine room, you've come here, you've paid good money, you need some entertainment. And so I go about the demystification of wine, the explanation that your opinion is as valid as my opinion. In fact, your opinion is more valid than my opinion because it's your experience, not my experience. You're tasting the wine. I'm talking. I'm just a talking head. Your experience is what's happening in your mouth, what's happening in your nose. And so I try and disarm people. A lot of people come in and they're very nervous. I don't know anything about wine. I said, you know everything you need to know about wine right now. You're going to know what you like and what you don't like. If you're fascinated by wine, then I recommend learning more through the WSET or other educational tools so that first and foremost, the vocabulary. Lots of people will smell wine, like our Savsem, for instance. It really expresses the aroma of grapefruit, red grapefruit, and those, savvy, right? Does that. Well, people will smell it who don't know, and they don't have that connection from the senses to the vocabulary.
Yes.
Because in between is ego, and ego's going, I don't know anything about wine, but I'll be damned if I'll say grapefruit because I'm embarrassed.
Because it
Right?
might be wrong.
Well, it might be wrong, or it might be embarrassing to say bubble gum. And so I just say, listen, if you like food and wine and you're satisfied with just a good taste of wine, taste my wines, you like them, great. If you don't, great, go try something else. If you're really interested as to why, when I said grapefruit, your brain went like that, whoa, then go get some education and have some fun with it. And so what I find is 99.99% of people just like, hey, this is fun. You've demystified it. I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel as though I'm walking into, the CERN reactor in Switzerland and I have no idea what's going on. I feel like I can talk to you. And I kind of try and stay away from the big science and the nerd talk and stuff like that because people's eyes glaze over. They don't want that. That's not what it's all about. This is a family winery. So that's sort of our philosophy here.
That is so great. And I think that's the way to really encourage people to approach wine rather than be intimidated by it and stay away. We don't want that. Do you find that that philosophy is shared by a lot of your peers in the industry?
No. Let's be honest. There's a lot of peers I love and respect that it's very important to them to tell the public just how good a winery they are, just how scientific and how good their wine is and things like that, which is a different type of marketing technique. I think deep down underneath, a lot of us, like anybody, in a sense, performers, want to be loved. We want our product to be getting a good rating. We want wine writers and social media influencers to love our wine. I'm blessed with two things. Our wine sells, and my ego is such that you can call me names and I'll be okay. And so I don't need to seek out that, going with the influencers and tell everybody just how good I am. And we all know there's some wineries around here that have done an amazing job that are just as old as me, 3 times as more famous because they've done a better job, quote unquote, marketing it. So it doesn't bother me all that much. I mean, I make wine, we sell it out every year. What more do I want? I think that's as successful as I want. And I do when I talk to most people after 2 or 3 beer, we all end up at the same level of going, you're right. I might have 92 points from Gismondi, but the fact of the matter is there's still people that don't like it. I'm good with that. And even though Gismondi gave it 92, doesn't mean it's the best wine in the world. There's one out there claiming the first 100-point Canadian wine. That's great. Tasted it. It's good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it. So yeah, it's the industry, I think, let's be honest, until as a species we are uninfluenceable, we will continue to use marketing. So I'm fine.
So there's no end in sight.
Well, this is what I say to people in the wine shop. If I were to stand here and say, I am a student of music, a student of the visual arts, and a winemaker, and I'm going to tell you the best movie of all time, the best music of all time, and the best wine of all time, the first two statements would elicit, bugger off. You can't tell me the best music. You can't tell me the best movie. Forget about it. But we're still in that last vestiges of allowing another person to tell us what a good wine is. And when I speak that way to 12 people in the wine shop last year, 20 people, you see this kind of dawning of this realization. You're right. Why should I let anyone tell me something about wine when I don't let them tell me what movies are good, what music is good, what food is good, what restaurants is good? Yes, we might use them as a guidepost, but we're not about to sit on that hill and die to protect that reviewer's conclusion. And boom, instantly, 99% of the room goes, oh, cool. All right, let's proceed.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting to hear, that shift in perspective of being more accepting and participatory with your wine rather than being apart from it and being, afraid of making the wrong judgment. That I love that approach. I just love it. And it makes such sense. Of course, we have our opinions and our preferences about music and movies and such, but yeah, wine, you're right. It's true that this is pervasive approach that people have. They think they can't possibly know enough to have their own opinion. So yeah, I love that. Luke, I want to ask you a final question. We were talking earlier about how wine has personality. Wine is like people. It's got its idiosyncrasies, its character traits. I want to invite you to tell me about one of your wines, describe that wine and its characteristics and its personality traits, and tell me why that wine is just like you.
Just like me? I don't think any of them are just like me, but well, I'll quickly do two wines.
Okay.
We grow Sauvignon Blanc and we grow Semillon, the two partners in crime from Bordeaux, France. And that's kind of the wine I grew up on. Sauvignon Blanc, let's be honest, in Vancouver after 1 o'clock on Friday, nobody works anymore because they're always at rods or bridges or fortes. And you're sitting on the deck in a sunny day with your pals and you order some Sauvignon Blanc and you order some oysters on the half shell. And it's just a magic combination. Sauvignon Blanc, being a hetero white male, I will use these stereotypes. Sauvignon Blanc is the buddy we all have, whether we're 20 years old or 80 years old. We have that buddy who has never grown up, who is really fun for a little while, who our wife loves and hates at the same time because he's still single. He still shows up and says, I need a wingman, but he's humorous, he's fun, and he's entertaining. But after a while, it's like, I'm done. Sauvignon Blanc is like that because you can't come home and just open a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc and have a glass of wine because it immediately, with its acidity and its brightness and the tartness and all those flavors, said, hey, where's my companion food? Now, and that friend needs the next friend because if we don't have the next friend, bad things happen when we're younger. So you've got this crazy young guy. Now we've got the other guy, the yin and the yang of things. Semillon. Semillon calms everything down. Semillon tricks you into thinking that things are better than they really are. In the mouth, the Semillon is a little more viscous than the Sauvignon Blanc, just enough to let the taste buds kind of experience this thing that cuts down on that sharpness of the Sauvignon Blanc and smooths it out. The Sav Sem blend, by definition, is usually much drier than the straight Sav. But the sem tricks you into thinking that there's this residual sweetness there because the tongue is coated with this viscous liquid. So what is the sem? The sem is the other friend we all had, boys or girls, but we all had, who, when the savvy guy is on the balcony, second story motel balcony, just about to try and make the pool from there, the other friend comes in and grabs him around the waist and drags him back into the room and says, have another shooter, because I think it's a bad idea to try and make the pool. Because if all we have is savvy type friends, we have no stories because they all died. And if we have only Semyon friends, we have no stories because we never tried anything. So it just completes the picture. So my Sav Sem is those two guys going out and just sort of making the yin yang the whole. And that's, I'm not going to suggest which of those guys I am. Yeah, I'm the Sem. I was always the party pooper. And I was called Grandpa in the group, but I saved everybody. At least that's my story. So those are the, that's the Sav Sem, and that by a certain metric is our number one seller. The other thing is our Pinot, our Century Block Pinot, which is the lowest production we do. It sits in an incredibly unique site that used to be the creek bed of 3 Mile Creek, and then of course it's carved its way through what used to be the silt at the bottom of the Lake Penticton, which is now Okanagan, and it has this mixture of stuff, and it has grown, and its constituents are the ones we have 4 Lieutenant Governor Awards and the Platinum Award and Canadian Red Wine of the Year Award, and it's always been sort of the partner in those kinds of awards. Again, using my position as it is the most seductive woman who's ever existed. And she will just, you're mesmerized. There's nothing you can do to get out of her clutches. You just want to be there. And in return, she gives you that experience that only Pinot Noir can give you, which, and when it's good, it's life-changing. Let's be frank. Chateau Petrus, I've been blessed to have one in the past. Amazing wine, really lovely wine. I've had Rothschilds, I've had the Latours, they're great wines. But that Burgundy, that amazing Burgundy was transcendent, was changed my whole outlook on life. And I can tell you exactly when it was. It was in 1996, and I was drinking a 30-year-old Pinot Noir from a producer that rated nothing but a footnote in Robert Parker's book of the time. That's all this producer rated, was a footnote. Not even more than literally his name, and that's it. And I thought, well, let's just try this wine. Nothing since has ever exploded my mind about what Pinot Noir can do. Amazing. So, you know, we're trying to move the Century Block in that way, and you don't, because she will only go where she wants to go. But there is hope that that amazing, seductive, magical creature will do that. That's our Century Block. So I always look at her as a woman and treat her with respect, because I'm scared. I'm scared of my wife, I'm scared of my daughters, and Mother Nature runs me. So I just say yes to her when I hear my name.
You are a wise man, Luke. You're a very wise man. Oh, that's fabulous. I think that's a great note to end our time together on. And I really want to thank you. I know you've got a ton of work to do with the season upon you now. I wish you a very successful season. Congratulations on what you're doing, how you're doing it, and your success. And may it continue 1,000-fold. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And would it be okay if we stayed in touch? I'd love to hear the news. I'm working forever, so I'm here. Amazing, amazing. Reach out anytime. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye.